What happens if we don't find this consummation? Consummation. Huh. What happens if we don't find this consummation? After another hellish day in the sun, they stopped in a Jack said with half a smile. It was rude. We are hungry and need to trade for some food. That's sent to. The guard scowled at them and turned his back. A young woman, accompanied by several men dressed in ragged blue T-shirts and mismatched Toby made hand signs against the eerie glow over the rows of pews, and they walked past. She led them to a small storage and they finished eating, and Jasmine said, "Come with me." Jasmine turned. "Come on, boys." Jack snatched Toby's hand and followed her down. Jasmine pressed her torch into Your place? Toby asked. Shit. Toby's hand slipped from the rebar and he snatched the vine. And I do mean this time. I think there's a word missing there. What's your business in the greatest city in the world? He asked. City dwellers were not hygienic. He told me scavengers like us were the people who left the cities after the bombs destroyed the planet to harvest resources. A voice from behind them spooked them. I'm James Mason, and I absolutely adore the theater. You had... My name is James Mason, and I absolutely adore the theater. As he asked the man in red. Shit. Boy, if you run after them, they will capture you and sell you to the slavers, or worse. James Mason with grit. Good luck, Jack. James Mason. It had taken him the better part of a day to sneak to where he lay out. How do I get him out of there? Said, do you know the combination for this lock? Red ran up to them. What do you think, Red? One of his many Edward. The ceiling of the cavern was 20 feet high, and along the walls were broken appliances, stripped of anything of valuable. Stripped of anything of valuable? Jack swallowed and glanced at Edward, who wasn't paying attention the slightest bit. Of attention. What am I supposed to do with this? Jack asked. You lay here. He pulled the mask down over his face and stumbled a few times. He approached the gate and noticed the thick gray cobwebs dangling down like thought. Jack touched the back of the mask. Back of my head. The white wolf rolled back and came to his feet. Lucy grabbed Jack's hands and helped him up. That wasn't going so good. They sprinted for the nearest tree and a look. She fired and worked the bolt-action rifle as if she had been born it. No, cut out the yawn. Daggum yawn. He killed her father for the coup he had attempted. He cuckoo. But his men didn't. Independence Hall, he said, only his lips moving. He studied the map. Only his... Beads of swept. I must have been hunting. Jack removed the preamble out of his pocket, looked in her direction, and then handed it over. Jack removed the preamble out of his pocket, looked at it. Jack removed the preamble out of his pocket, looked in her direction, and then handed it over. And then what? He did what? He handed it over. Take 4. Jack removed the preamble out of his pocket, then looked in her. Then? There's no then. There's no then there. Take 5. Jack rummaged through his bag and pulled out a worn He knew his quest would be dangerous, but he didn't expect to drag. I need to get the sniff. Toby rode along Lucy. Oh, he did he? Damn. And pulled out some more hardtack and held it. He held it. Jack strode toward Toby and ran his fingers through one of his horse's. I did what Ed. Now let's form a plan and get out of here before a slaver tribe come. Lucy and Toby stayed close behind. The further they rode, the darker the sky became. his rifle nesting. Nesting? His rifle made a nest. The boat rocked back and forth as Quill and some of Jack and that's where he fell forward and grabbed a hold of a collection of They built a small fire and an abandoned I happen to have ridden across a good portion of my zone and the new ones north of it. Fish. Rufus chucked. If we don't have people who fight our... I followed you to give you another look another look. Ooh, I followed you to give you another look. Just the burps. Jack opened the book and the binding cracked. But first, we need to rebandage this wound, and then you can get... Home site of Roger Sherman, 1721 to 1793, signer of the Declaration of Independence. He mumbled, "Oh, damn." They left the armory and headed to where the older men were making armor out of any scrap they found. So I yawn. He picked up the rock and landed on. Rufus nodded and groaned loudly. Loudler? Without a word, he flapped its tanks. Holy shit. If I were attacking, I'd come through the cover of those huge trees, then send men in to mount ladders, Rufus said with a mouthful of bread. Oh, mouthful of bread. Then send men to mount ladders. If I were attacking, I'd come through the cover of those trees. We should dig holes along the stretch of land they should be coming through.